Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. My warm regards and salams to my dear brothers and sisters all over the world. I hope that you are looking forward to this discussion that we have on the women of Ashura that we are going to present to you today. I'm Fatima Shameli, and together, inshallah, with my sister Razia, we are going to present to you another program.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Really happy to be here. Last session, we tried to talk about the different roles and functions that women played in the event, in the campaign of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. We said that there are 5 functions that we can think of. Number 1 was the fact that they were actually encouraging their men to take part in the campaign of Imam Hussein. Number 2, supporters of them in the agonies, in those bitter, painful moments of life with regards to the event of Ashura. Number 3, they were the defenders and they were the supporters of their imam, the imam of their time. Number 4, they were nurses of the sick, of the women and children. And number 5, ambassadors of the truth.
Exactly. We talked about the techniques and the methods that women used to be considered and who were later considered the ambassadors of truth. One of them we said was that they held ceremonies inside their house and outside of their house. And the second one is that these women would go to public and they would mourn in public to tell everybody that Ibn Ziyad is actually the oppressor, and the family of the Prophet, the family of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, are not the Kharijis, are not those people who have exited religion, are not the people who are non-believers. They are actually the ones who are on the right path. And one example that we can give is al-Banin, the mother of sons, that she would take the hand of Abdullah, the son of Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam, and she would go to the Baqi cemetery and she would start mourning and crying and weeping. And in those weepings was the time that she would deliver very important messages to the people around her. Because when people would hear this sound, they would say, what's going on? In the Baqi cemetery, they would all come around her and she would actually somehow convey the messages that she wanted to.
Very beautifully said. Going on to the next topic that we would like to shed light upon is that in our previous program, we had an introduction on the fact that if we want to be the students of the Zainabi school of thought, what kind of qualities or characters do we have to possess to become Zainab-like in our lives? Of course, again, this is not a fixed, rigid kind of categorization.
Right. This is our understanding.
Our understanding of it. You can come up with a better one. But one of the beauties of the personality of Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha, and still like today, a lot of psychologists, a lot of educationalists are saying that if you want to be a successful person in your life, try to be conscious. Try to be an alert person. They have a terminology called critical thinking, where because here in the age of technology, we are being bombarded with a lot of information from the media, from the social media, from your surroundings, but you have to choose what is the truth. You have to be able to distinguish truth from falsehood, and you have to filter it in your mind and try to adhere to the path of truth. Exactly. This is one of the very important points that as successful people in all times, specifically in our time, which is the time of technology and advancement, if you want to be successful, you have to choose who you want to be. Exactly. And what you want to be.
And also, you have to be steadfast in your choice. I think that's even more important.
That's number 2.
Yeah, it is important to start something, but it's more important to actually finish it. And the very fact that these women were so steadfast in their beliefs that until the very last drop of blood of their loved ones, they stood by it. They stood by this belief.
Exactly. So
and they didn't quit. They weren't quitters.
Exactly. Because, for example, with the instance of Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha, if I was in the situation where I had was so grieved and heartbroken, I would give up. I would surrender. I would say, it's enough. I've had enough on my plate. Now
And God doesn't want me to go under so much calamities and have my kids
Exactly.
become orphaned.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept whatever I have done. I think it's enough.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is that, as you said, one of the principles in the school of Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha was that because of this filtration, or because of this alertness, awakeness, because of this critical thinking, whatever you want to name it, she saw everything that had happened, all these bitter, brutal moments. She saw it as nothing but beauty. And this is what helps her to be steadfast. Because why aren't we steadfast? Because we are not sure sometimes that sometimes we know what the right thing is, but we haven't accepted it completely wholeheartedly. Because sometimes there are some rays of doubt in it. But Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha had belief with all molecules, particles of her being, the cells of her existence. That's why she had so much steadfastness on her path. So that was the second principle in the school of Lady Zainab. The third principle is the fact that we mentioned it as one of the functions and roles of the ladies of Ashura, the fact that they had well recognized the Imam of their time, the guide of their time, and they were the supporters of him. And it didn't make any difference what price they had to pay. There was no price.
Exactly. So the reason they were steadfast, so it's like we're going into circles that are emerging in one another. We're going from a general one to a more detailed specific one. So the reason behind their steadfastness was their knowledge. So if they were ignorant of the position of Imam Hussein, if they were ignorant of the reason behind the uprising of Imam al-Hussein, like for example the women of Kufa, they would withdraw their support for Imam Hussein. But because of the fact that they were so well aware of the situation of their time, the social situation, the political situation, and they were the abiders of righteousness, they could have said, okay, well, this is the situation, okay, fine. But because they were the supporters of haqq, the right path, they were steadfast in their way.
But sometimes you know the truth, but you don't want to pay the price of the truth, and you would become happy with the little material joys that you get from this world. Exactly. I think beside knowing the truth, they had very full cognition, understanding of the plan of Islam for them. Because if you know that this life, this material transient life, is just a phase in which you try to accumulate, you try to gather up strength, the provisions for your trip, your trip to the next abode, to your eternal abode, then you're functioning, then the decisions that you make in your life would be so much different. Exactly. In so many different occasions in the sermons of Lady Zainab, you see the fact that she mentions this to Yazid, that what do you think you've done? Who do you think you are? Because she was one of the commentators of the Noble Quran. She knew Quran by heart. She was one of the teachers of the Quran in the city of Medina, and also at the time that her father was the caliph in the city of Kufa. So she see her command of using the verses of the Quran. And in the different places, Lady Zainab mentions this, that the reason I am steadfast, the reason I am sticking with the truth is I know that there is something else to come, and I'm looking forward to those days. Like in one of the parts, Lady Zainab says, "Oh Yazid, it's not seeming for you to swell with joy after slaying the Prophet's progeny. Reckon not those who are killed in Allah's way as dead. Nay, they are alive and are provided sustenance from their Lord, rejoicing in what Allah has given them out of His grace." You see, all along, The reason we get depressed, the reason we lose hope and steadfastness is because we cut our chain, our link with Allah, with the superior, supreme power that we have in our lives. This is in chapter Ali Imran, verses number 169 and 170. I think we have come to the end of another program.
Exactly, Razia, very beautifully mentioned. I hope that inshallah we are able to educate ourselves enough to actually be steadfast in the way that we believe and in the path that we are stepping on. If there's nothing else to add,
Inshallah,
Razia,
in our next program.
inshallah, until another program, we hope that the peace and blessings of Allah shower upon you all.
Wassalamu alaikum.